at the Hall of Justice.
Jump too hard, don't stand too close.
Hello, Sergeant Be Safe, Captain Chaos. I'm your new district attorney, Justin Case.
Hello, Justin Case. Nice to meet you.
Yes, it's a pleasure. I'm glad we're all on the same team.
Yes, locking up bad guys. Let's go inside the courthouse and see the judge. We have bad guys to put away.
You are absolutely right. Let's go inside and get to work.
All rise. I am the Honorable Judge Mint.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Attorneys, present your closing arguments.
I'm a defense attorney scot-free, and my guys didn't do it.
The proof has been laid out, Judge. Sergeant Be Safe and Captain Chaos caught these guys red-handed.
What you mean red-handed? Order in the court!
I find these three guilty on all counts.
Ooh.
Well, I'm out of here.
I'm innocent. I didn't
What do
sell
you mean
crap.
guilty? I don't hack.
Good work.
Yes, job well done, team. I just want to say good job to our brand new district attorney, Justin Case. And from me and Captain Chaos, that's your tip of the day to get you on your way. Let's go start the show. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of Black and Blue. This is the podcast where we go live weekly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you guys like the new background. I told you it was under construction last week. It's still under construction right now, but it looks 10 times better than what it did before. It got the wigwags going on, got the sign going on, let everyone know that we're on air. I hope you guys are here to have fun because so am I. I am your host. I'm your motivational speaker, your empowerment coach, your author, and your favorite baker's favorite baker, Coach Clee, coming at you. And this is Black and Blue. We go live again, interviewing anyone who's a first responder or law enforcement with their trainings, experiences, or publications. And the guest that we have is no stranger to this platform. He's been here before. You guys know him and love him, and he's been doing amazing and wonderful things since then, and we're going to get all caught up with him. But I just want you guys to know, make sure you guys get the likes up, because likes are free. Likes keep the algorithm going and keep the show pumping. We are streaming on 5 different platforms right now. So I don't know which one you're on right now, because we're on 2 on YouTube, we're on 2 on Facebook, and we are on 1 on LinkedIn. So make sure if you want that shout out, put your name and where you're from in the comment section, and go ahead and I'll give you that shout out that you're looking for. Again, this is an interactive live. So if you have a comment or a question, put that in the comment section too, and we will acknowledge that to the best of our ability. All right. Make sure you share this along with all your friends and family so we can keep this platform going. Again, we bring you a lot of good and vital information. This platform is sponsored by One Way Publishing, and you see the website scrolling below, and it's also in the comment section. So at the end of this live, not right now, but at the end, make sure you guys check that out. One Way Publishing sponsors this podcast, sponsors Sergeant Be Safe, the cartoon that you saw at the beginning of this video, and also has clients, me being included. I wrote 5 of my books through this publishing company, and they have many other clients as well. Their motto is they can turn a mere thought into a book that's bought. So make sure you guys check them out. All right, they can make the dreams come true, whether you want to write a fiction, nonfiction, autobiography, a cookbook, coloring book, children's books. So many wonderful things are being funneled through One Way Publishing. But don't just take my word for it. Watch this watch this video here. Have you ever wanted to explain something, tell a story, or leave a piece of you behind? Have you ever wanted to write your own book, but not specifically know how to do it? Well, get ready. One Way Publishing's here. We can turn a mere thought into a book that's bought. People need to learn from you. They need to hear that story. Kids need to read that book. Imagine if you wrote your own children's book and get to read it to your kids. Here at One Way Publishing, we can get your fiction, nonfiction, fantasy, instructional, what have you, done. All at a reasonable price and definitely a reasonable time frame. And if you don't believe me, ask Sergeant Be Safe. He's working on his right now. He's definitely writing the best chapter of his life. Make sure you check out his cartoon skits that air on the podcast Black and Blue.
As Sergeant Be Safe said, that's your tip of the day to get you on your way.
And shout out to One Way Publishing for sponsoring this podcast. Where if you're even in the business of wanting to know about first responders and law enforcement, this is your place. If you're already a seasoned vet and you want to hear other stories, training, and publications, this is your place. If you're looking to get into this genre, this atmosphere, this calling, this is your place to ask your questions to find out what's going on. Like I said before, we got a special guest. He's no stranger. He's been here. It was about, I want to say, February was the last time he was here, maybe January. Memory escapes me, but he's got a children's book out. And we got to read his children's book on American Literacy Association. Not only that, we got to dive deep into how he got the book done, why he did it. We got to learn about him, his background. So we're not going to recap all that because we already did it. His book, The Police and Me, is available on Amazon, and he's got some new announcements about that. I don't want to give too much away. Spanish version will be available real soon, but I'll let him get into that. But we're going to give a brief recap on the last time he was here, and also what he's got going on right now. All right, and then we're going to jump into the meat and potatoes of this interview, where we're going to put him on the hot spot and have a question and answer. Stand by.
Respect. I like to talk about courtesy.
Okay.
Right. You know, a lot of people talk about respect and obey police officers. Respect is one thing, but respect has to be earned both ways.
Yeah.
Courtesy is something that we can all do. As human beings, we should all be courteous to one another. We can be kind. We can be polite. We can acknowledge, hey, you have a hard job.
Yeah.
And that officer can look at, you know what, this might be a scary situation for you. Yeah. And we look at that, and I think when we start there, and I think we could go a lot further, a lot faster if we just start with a little bit of empathy and a little bit of courtesy.
We can all give courtesy. What
Absolutely.
a great lesson.
of police shootings in the media, it can be very frustrating. Why? Because a lot of times when we receive our law enforcement education, it comes from the news media, television shows, and most often the movies. You're going to watch this video, this incident, and you're going to filter it through your own experiences, your knowledge, your expectations for police. And a lot of times, it's going to be inaccurate. I want you to be able to watch these videos and look at these police-involved shootings and understand what occurred by understanding use of force and deadly force criteria.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Reading 365. Thank you so much for joining us today on this terrific Tuesday morning. I am your host here, Madison Stokes, and we have a returning guest here on Reading 365. Really excited. We have Mr. Clee Tillman.
Reading the book, The Police and Me, written by Derrick Dotson. He will be on the podcast, Coach Clear, Black and Blue, February 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So dedication, Duke, thank you for your enthusiasm and helping Papa make this book to teach other kids and their parents what you've already been fortunate enough to learn. Love you, man, from Papa. First thing I should always do is take a deep breath and stay calm. You can tell them your name and how old you are. My name is Duke, and I'm 6 years old. Since you're not an adult, you can let the officer know that you need to call me or your mom. Don't. Make sure that you always do what the police officer tells you to do. Don't argue with the police because it can make the situation worse. Never resist or pull away. Never run. Never fight the police. That is when people get hurt. And they get ice cream, and that's about the author. There we go. And again, that was just a brief recap on the last show that he was on, and he's here today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a returning guest. He's going to be the founder of the Black Sanctuary. You see it scrolling below, and it's also in the comment section. Make sure you guys check that out as soon as you can. He's the author of the book, The Police and Me, and also, like I said, a Spanish version should be coming out. That's on, I don't know exactly when, but he'll explain all that. He's done over 10 years in private security, and right now he's on the National Ambassadors Campaign trying to get information out there to law enforcement and the public alike. But therefore, I'm not going to steal his shine or thunder. I'm going to bring him to the stage. Mr. Derrick Dotson, are you here?
I am here. How you doing, brother?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. For one, it's nice to have you back in here. It's good I know we've had conversations online. I know we've had conversations offline, and they've been great conversations. And I can say tremendously, they've helped me out personally. So I'm truly excited to have you back here on the show. How have you been?
I'm great, man, and thank you for that introduction. That was a great recap. That was amazing, man. But yeah, things have been going great, and yeah, like you said, it's been really good. This is part of the thing I've loved about this entire journey is, meeting people like you, and then actually being able to continue these relationships that I've been able to build. But I have to say, you have been consistently the person that I've talked to the most over since I've started this whole thing. But it's really cool to be able to meet people, even though we've never met face to face. But like I feel like we have. But no, this is cool, man. Thank you for having me back.
Yes, I know we feed off each other and we continue to rise. I know you've got a lot of things going on, and I'm looking to watch you flourish, and I'm happy for your success. And I know that bug is in you. So no matter what you accomplish, you always want to take it to the next level and accomplish more. So can you tell us about the campaign and what you're trying to do right now, that your National Ambassadors Campaign?
So yeah, thank you. So the National Ambassador Campaign is for the book, For the Police and Me. And so this is all going to be under the Black Sanctuary. But the Ambassador Campaign, the whole point of this is to be able to get this book into as many hands of law enforcement officers as possible. The whole point of that is to bring everybody together. That was the point of writing the book, and is one of the reasons why I wrote a children's book in the first place, was to be able to bring people together. Right? So kids are going to read it, right? They read the book. They learn about who the police are, what they do, and what they do when they interact with police. Parents read it to their kids, all right? They get a chance to explain it to their kids. But then, what I've seen is, law enforcement officers right from the beginning buying this book and then going out and reading it to kids. And personally, that was one of the coolest things for me, is to be where I am, where I wrote the book, and then look up on LinkedIn and see a chief of police in an elementary school reading the book. That was Chief Scarpon out of the Marysville Police Department, and it was just cool to have that experience. And I never met this chief either, right? He's a great guy, but I've never met him. And at the time, and it was really cool to see that. And so that's what I wanted, right? That's what I wanted from the beginning. And so now that I've been out there, I've done the book tours and done the reading and done lots of readings to kids, and I see the possibility of how this can grow. And so the ambassador campaign is to get the books into the hands of police officers that will then turn around and give the books to kids in their community.
Right.
That way we can start having dialogue, and we can start talking more about, again, a lot about what the book is about. Kids have a ton of questions about this book, and I love it, right? Because, I get a chance to answer questions, and it's thought-provoking, right? Like, it's cool because these kids make you think. They understand more than we want to believe about police and policing and even a lot of the things that we've seen in the media. And so, so I want that to happen. I want these officers to be able to get into the community, hand these books out to kids, have these interactions, conduct their own readings. I can't be everywhere in the country and do this, but the whole thing is to be able to bridge that gap, make the community and police relations better by doing this. And so that's where this actually started.
Absolutely. And I know I've seen, following you on social media and just in conversations that we've had ourselves, I know you've flown across country to various places. You met with individual people. You got to read to kids. You got to interact with kids. You got to meet law enforcement officials and actually engage. Would you say this is another point or another tool in the toolbox to use for community policing, community service?
I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think this is the tool, right? I think this is the tool that's been missing. When another reason why I wrote the book is because a lot of parents said that they didn't know what to tell their kids about police interaction because they didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if they didn't know what to do, then, they don't know how to explain it. So there's actually a part in the book where I teach, Duke it's narrated from my son's point of view, and he sees what I'm doing when I'm getting pulled over. He sees, the sequence of things I'm doing and what I actually do. This gives people an opportunity to understand this is what I'm supposed to do when I get pulled over, right? With that being said, this is a tool to be able to, explain for police officers to be able to explain to parents, to be able to explain to kids when they go to schools and they talk to kids about these things. School resource officers, for instance, this is another tool for them to be able to say, hey, this is exactly what you should be doing, and this is how you should interact. And then it does open up dialogue at that point. So like on my book tour, when I went to Syracuse, New York, I went there and I read to probably just shy of 1,500 kids in 4 days. And there was about close to 2 hours worth of questions that I answered between five schools. And it was great, but some of the questions were like caught me off guard, right? And so it gives you an opportunity, if you're an officer, to be able to go out and talk to kids about this, and using this book as just as a conversation starter, as a tool, as a bridge to be able to build relationships, to answer some of those questions, or to be able to get kids to engage in the first place. That is really cool. I mean, some of the questions that I got were just very blunt, like, why do police kill people, right? And there was that. There would be, what do police officers mean by someone fits the description? And this little girl was 8 that asked me that question, right?
Wow.
And so, yeah, exactly. And so, having those types of things, and you're on the spot at that point, right? And kids, they're not gonna let you off easy, So they're like, yeah, what you gonna say? And so it's that type of thing. But it was really cool to see that. So since then, I've already started working on a parent guide, because I couldn't imagine parents having to try to answer some of the questions that I knew the answers to, but I still had to think of it, on the spot, but be very thoughtful and mindful about how I answered them. Didn't want to skate around it. Didn't want to, try to, water it down for them. For instance, if they use the word kill, then I use the word kill, right? It was that type of thing where I had to be thoughtful about it. But, this is a great tool for agencies everywhere, not from municipal to county to state, even federal. When you engage with law enforcement is law enforcement, the way I look at it, and to be able to use that as a tool, I think it's going to be a great thing.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, in the process of you doing your book tour, you engage with 1,500 kids or more, you said?
Well, at least, that was just on one tour, right?
On that one tour.
That was just one tour. Yeah, there's way more than that. Yeah.
And the kind of questions that you got were to the point, blunt, directly, put you in the hot seat, and you're like you said, kids know more than we think. And so, did you get any questions from law enforcement as well, or did you have them do a question and answer? Or are you envisioning the kids or the public sitting down with law enforcement officials and having a town hall community back and forth dialogue? And do you think this book will be the gateway to make that happen?
So that's exactly it. That's what I plan on doing so that's part of the ambassador campaign, is make sure that having events and continuing to have these conversations around the country. And it's important to do this now, Clee, right? Like, I don't want this to be as a result of another high-profile, shooting or deadly force situation that happens in the media, and then all of a sudden we're trying to play catch-up here. There's been enough division. We need to get ahead of that. So, yes, I want people to, engage in these types of conversations much earlier when we are having, town hall events, events at schools. School resource officers are going to be a big part of this, but then the police agencies, like some of the police chiefs that I've spoken with, they totally agree. They're all over it, right? They're like, this is an opportunity for them to be able to connect, and using this book to be able to open up conversation. And then when kids ask about what happens during that interaction, because that's when it really starts to get deep. Yeah. When kids ask, well, if, what happens to me if you arrest my parents? That type of thing. I'm trying to tell you, like, it catches you. And those kids are actually thinking about it, not just because they're thinking about it. Some of them have actually experienced it. Some of the places where I went and read the book were, like, one of the schools had a 98% poverty rate, 5% homeless rate. And, and it was deep to see the type of questions that they would ask, because they've seen a lot, right? Unfortunately, they're not strangers to homicide, right? And so, they see that type of thing, and you want to be able to provide answers in a way where it's not, they don't have some type of animosity towards police, because a lot of times that's when they're showing up, right? It'd be interesting, I tell you, it'd be interesting when I would go to one school and I would say, what do the police do? And the kids would say, they come when someone needs help. And okay, what do you think the police do? When people are in trouble, we call 911 and the police will come. Then you go a couple blocks, maybe a half mile down the way, go to another school. What do you think the police do? Oh, they come when people get killed. Okay. What do you think the police do? When somebody gets robbed or shot, police come. Very, very matter of fact about it. Yeah. And and it hit me, because I'm like, man, I was just earlier in the day, I'm right down the street, talking to kids, and they had a totally different answer. And depending on, sometimes the socioeconomics, of the situation, and where you're at, when I talk to different groups, some kids have totally different, different experiences. And, so I think, having these opportunities to have officers go into schools, go into the community, and be able to engage, not just with kids, because their parents are going to be there too. The parents need to know as well. It got to a point that halfway through the tour in New York, I said to the teachers, I would have to tell them, I need you guys to pay attention, because this applies to you too. This book was written for children, but it's the exact same information that it's going to pertain to you if you interact with police. So I need you to pay attention as well. So yeah, so it's definitely something that it's already been useful, but I can see the benefit of this and how much I think we're going to transform as a country going forward.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I'm behind you, and we have generations that are coming up that are starting to hit the workforce, that are starting to get older, starting to become adults, that don't get this instruction. I remember being young, and I'm showing my age, when it was normal for police officers or first responders to come into the schools and put on presentations. It was normal for someone to put on a trench coat and wear a dog hat and come in and rules around the school. It was normal for someone to put on a big bear costume and a campaign hat and tell us not to prevent forest fires and things like that. But now those things don't seem like they happen. And what's lost in the fire shows up in the ashes. And now that we have to dig through the ashes and produce the same information and recreate it to a new generation that it's not being taught to, that have valid questions, it's a task at hand, but it's a very important task. If a law enforcement officer wanted to get a copy of your book and they want to go ahead and get out into the community, be an SRO and read to a group of kids, how would they go about doing that?
So what I'm doing, and that's a great question. So part of this is there's a few ways that I'm going about this, and I'm still trying to make sure that we have ways for everyone to be able to go about this. So first of all, police departments, for instance, one of the police departments just bought 1,500 books, right? Okay. So it's about, I think it equals about five books per officer, right? Okay. The way that actually works out. So that was just the most recent one that I talked to them, and so they're part of the program. So they got a grant, for instance, and they to buy the book, to buy a bunch of books. The other way that when people ask me all the time, which I love, and I got to say thank you to a lot of people, a lot of organizations that are out there, Jack and Jill, Boys and Girls Club, Police Athletic League. So many people that have reached out, like, how can we help? What can we do? Right. And what I tell people is, if you want to do your part, if you want to buy some books and you want to donate that to your police department, if you want to donate it to a community organization, or community organizations that can buy the books and donate them to the police department as well. Sometimes it's just, and the cool thing about that is if the police department hasn't gotten started, this is the way to get them going. Like, hey, get these books and go read them to our kids, right? And so it's a way to get them going. Right. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for that to happen. So that's my expectation too, is that police departments use this as an investment. You are investing in your community, and you know how it is too, right? Like, as you do your patrol work, you might hand out some stickers, some candy or something, a junior police badge. That stuff is going in 5 minutes, right? That candy is there for as long as it's in that kid's hand, and it's not going to be in their hand very long. So, but this book is now you're handing out knowledge. Now you're handing out a tool, some skill that they can implement right away, and then they can give it to their little brother or sister. They can hand it off to a relative. That's something that's going to stick around. This is something I think is really important to have. And I'm not saying it's not, having the little trinkets like the candy and the junior police badges. Those are cool. Those are cool. And, and it's a way to maybe open up conversation. But I'm talking about something that's going to be lasting, that could come back to you and save your life as an officer, right? Because this person is going to know how to interact with you. They're going to know how to behave in that type of situation, and they're going to pass that information on. I'm telling you, when we educate each other and we inform each other this way, and the things that I've heard from parents, things that I've heard from kids that now understand this, that's why I'm taking this national, because I don't want to wait any longer just because I'm going from one city to the next, that type of thing. No. This is every time one of these high profile police deadly force type of situations happen, it becomes a national situation, right? Why can't this needs to be a national move too?
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. I believe, like I said, I believe in you. I'm 100% behind you. We're going to pause for the calls right now. Sergeant Be Safe has a few informational edutainment words that we're going to go forward with, and then we're going to come right back and jump right in this interview. You guys stand by.
Ooh, look at all the pretty butterflies in the sky. I guess I'll just cross the street here.
Oh, good. Light's green. I'm glad I can go. Oh my gosh, watch out.
Sergeant, be safe. Beast mode, baby. Megan, watch out for that car. I got you.
Oh, geez. I didn't even see that car coming.
Oh my gosh, are you two okay?
Yes, we're okay. Megan, you have to do a better job paying attention.
I just wanted to cross the street.
I didn't see you walking there.
Megan, you just can't cross in the middle of the street. You have to go to the intersections and use the proper crosswalks. Wait for traffic to clear and then go. If you don't follow these simple directions, you could get a ticket for jaywalking, or worse, be hit by a car and seriously injured.
I'll be more careful from now on. Ooh! Look at the other butterfly!
Oh my goodness.
Sergeant Be Safe, you are the best.
This is very true. Thank you very much. I did have to turn on supersonic beast mode to jump and get Megan out of the way. Remember, folks, look both ways before crossing the street and wait till the intersection's clear and cross at the crosswalks. And that's your tip of the day to get you on your way.
And we are back. That was Sergeant Be Safe hitting supersonic beast mode to save a pedestrian just wandering in the street. You know, I mean, Sergeant Be Safe trying to make it out here happening.
You putting in work.
Yeah, man. You ain't lying. You ain't lying. But let's get back into this interview. We're talking about your book, your campaign. You got your website scrolling below, Black Sanctuary, your book, children's book, The Police and Me. Campaign, the National Ambassadors Campaign, getting this information out there. I know you got a bunch of stakeholders that are backing you and want to help get this information out here, help get those interactions out, help get that book out. Is there any shout outs that you want to give out to any of them? How are they helping push this cause, which is so noble of you and them?
You know, and that's thanks for asking. You know, that's a lot. You know, I'm glad to say that it's a lot. You know, one of the organizations that just referred me for something else was the Jack and Jill of America. Jack and Jill is of America. It's an organization of 50,000 Black families. So it's an organization primarily for kids, but it's also ran by moms, right? Dads are part of it, but it's ran by the moms. They have been highly supportive, very supportive. They've had me read to the kids a couple of times. I did an event earlier this year that was actually it was voted to be the best event of the year, which was pretty cool. Okay. Yeah, it was really cool, and I had no idea that would be the case.
This guy's modest, ladies and gentlemen. He's out here making it happen. I don't mean to cut him off. This guy's this dude, and he's out here making it happen. I'm sorry, I just have to put that out there.
No, but it's cool, I mean, when you have something like that happen, I mean, you're out there just doing what you think needs to be done, and you're doing what you think is right, and then it turns into something like that. The Boys and Girls Club. And then I'm also trying to, get something going here in Bellevue, Washington, with the local Boys and Girls Club. But once again, on a national level, I'd like to be able to work with them as well. Big Brother, Big Sister locally. Also talk to the local CEO. We're trying to get some things going. But it's things, people like that. Police Athletic League, of course. They bought a few hundred books right off the top, right from the beginning. And again, I like working with these organizations and locally in cities. That's great. This is an issue that we have from all over this country, and that's why I'm really focused on building partnerships nationally. Right. But even like local cities, when I mentioned Bellevue, one of the people I've been working with is the deputy mayor, Jared Neuenhouse, and we've been talking a lot. We've been just working together, trying to figure out best ways to get this thing going. I wanted Bellevue to be one of the cities, the city that I started with here in Washington, just because they've had such a not only a progressive mindset, but they put things into action right away. He introduced me to the mayor, and again, I had a great interaction with Mayor Robinson, and I think we're definitely going to do some. We could possibly do some really good work together. But people like that, right? Like right from the beginning, they see the need, of course, but then to know that somebody's actually out here doing it and they jump behind you. I can't tell you how that feels to have. When you have that belief, that core belief of what it is and what you need to get done, and it's coming from a place of love and just caring about people and wanting to help folks and use your knowledge and your skill and your ability, and they're like, yes, what can we do for you? That's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, and it's a great feeling, especially when it's for a good cause because you're giving back. Right. And you're helping society again, like we talked about. We would say it till we're blue in the face, but it's true, and it makes you tireless because you're doing it for a good cause. Absolutely,
right.
So let me ask you, what kind of obstacles have you already overcome, or what kind do you foresee coming down the pipeline as you're trying to get this campaign out?
That's a good question. I know there's going to be obstacles. That's a given. I haven't, and that's an interesting question. I've had a few interviews at this point, and one of the things is I don't really receive a lot of opposition. If there is, I haven't heard it, right? Because at the end of the day, it helps everybody. I don't care how you feel about police. Like, you can feel how you want to feel. That's not what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to make sure that everyone is respectful and understanding of each other. Right. That's my main goal. And that you understand what police do, and there's mutual respect and empathy and courtesy that's there. I don't get a lot of pushback. I don't get a lot of opposition. There hasn't been anything that's really jumped in front of me to try to stop me from doing anything. But I think anytime you do something like this, there's always going to be challenges. But the cool thing about the challenges, it's how you see them, right? Like it's how you see. I embrace them, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm always going to learn something from it. And even when I think about who I was a year ago, the amount of things that I've learned from the things that I've come across and the challenges that I've faced already, it's been great. So I know they're going to come, but it's nothing I shy away from. You're either with me or you're going to have to work with me, because this is for everybody.
That's what I'm talking. He said it in a nice way too. You're gonna have to work with me. Either you're with me or you're getting left behind, and you're gonna us on the trail going to the top. Absolutely. One thing though that I've seen from the interview clip that I had played in the beginning of this podcast, I got to watch some of that interview where you sat down. I forget the name of the show where you were speaking with
New Day Northwest.
There we go. And so you were speaking with the female there, and you said something that resonated with me, and it's very true. And I've been a law enforcement officer for many, many years now. I'm an old man in the game. And one thing is, you can respect is earned, but the public can be respectful in whether they like the situation or not. They can be respectful and expect to get treated with respect in return, because the officer, our side, we can understand that, even though we may deal with this every single day, this may be a brand new problem to that person, or that this situation caused them a traumatic turn in their life, or just for them to have a bad day. So understanding both sides. One, okay, yes, we do this for a living, but we can understand that the public doesn't do this every single day, and understand, yes, that the officer, whether you like the police or law enforcement or first responders or not, I can make this situation go a lot more smoother, a lot more easier if I'm just adhering to the rules and being respectful. Now, I kind of ad-lib, but that's what that's the point that I believe you were trying to get at in that interview.
Yes, yes. It's and you know, I'm glad that did resonate with you because it was one of the things that just kind of came off at the end of the interview there, and I'm glad we wrapped up that way. But it, you know, it was something I had been pondering because it was something that people continue to say that always causes an issue. They always say, um, especially when I talk to Black folks about police, right? Because depending on their interaction with law enforcement, it's going to be, you know, they're like, well, why should I respect police? I don't feel respected by police. And then when you talk to some officers, you know, you have some officers say, well, you know, we don't feel respected by the public. And, you know, you know, respect is something that has to be earned because, you know, respect, when you look at the definition of respect, we're speaking about in the way that we're talking about it here between civilians and law enforcement personnel, we're talking about holding someone to a certain level of esteem. All right. I'm supposed to hold you to a certain level of authority just because, you know, basically because you got a job, because you wear a uniform and a badge and a gun, and you have this authority that's been appointed to you to enforce the law, and I should respect you because of that. You know, even if you can't respect someone, which is earned, because for me to have a certain level of esteem for you, that has to be earned. But regardless of that, we can be courteous to one another. All right. I can be polite. So when you stop me and you pull me over, it's not what you pulled me over for. Right? It's not that. It's how you doing, officer? What can I do for you? Well, you were doing going this fast in this area, you know, and you shouldn't be doing that because this is a speed limit. Blah blah blah. All right. Okay. Sure. What do you need? I need your license and registration. Sure, it's over here, and that is over here, right? Like, you know, just it doesn't need to be, you know, a production, right? And there's so much of that, and the reason why I talk so much about that now, and it's something that I kept hearing between respect and courtesy. Well, I kept hearing respect, and I kept thinking, well, maybe the word isn't respect, right? Maybe we need to move off of respect and start thinking more about courtesy because that's something we can all do as just as civilized human beings. And not even in a law enforcement personnel situation, just walking in the grocery store and holding the door open for someone that's coming out with their hands full. Like it's just a courteous thing to do, man. It doesn't take much. You're not going to lose anything from that. Just do it. And so, and I think when we do those little things, we go so much farther. And especially in that situation, when we're talking about tense situations between civilians and law enforcement personnel, just that level of courtesy can go a long way. And look. Brother, I've been pulled over more than 4 dozen times in my life. And when I say more than 4 dozen, north of 50, right? Wow. But I have one ticket, all right? I have one ticket that was in the state of Maryland back when I was in college. But
Maryland.
Yeah. And he pulled us both. Oh, he pulled 2 people over at the same time. He had some skills. That was crazy. Anyway, but the point is that I you know, I hear people talk about these things in such a way that, you know, even after all the experiences that I've had, and I've interacted with law enforcement, I've literally had law enforcement officers, dead serious. I've had police that concluded a traffic stop and then told me this is the best traffic stop I've ever had. Why? You know, why? Because I'm not making a production out of it. Hey, sure, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. All right. Yeah, this is what this is. You need me to do what? Sure. Here. Right. And it's just being I think it's just being you know, I think the whole thing is, and again, another thing I mentioned in the interview is empathy. I have to be able to understand that they, you know, police officers have a complex job. And a police officer can also look and realize that this person is nervous. They might have never been in trouble before. They probably never been to the principal's office before. You know, it's that type of thing. And then all of a sudden now, you know, they're in the situation. The lights are flashing. This person's official in their uniform. They got a gun on them, and it's like, whoa. We can look at each other and have that level of courtesy to understand, like, hey, this is scary for you, and I can say, I know you might think this job is dangerous. I know your job is dangerous. Let me do what I need to do. So that's what I talk about in regards to courtesy.
Absolutely, man. You explained that so eloquently too. It reminded me of an old quote that I heard before. And forgive me, I forget who quoted it, but it takes nothing for a candle to light another candle. Like, being courteous, you don't lose anything. If your candle's already lit and you light another candle, you lose nothing. You actually got a brighter atmosphere, a brighter scene. So that goes hand in hand with courtesy. It takes nothing to be courteous. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Look that up. I'm gonna give you credit, but I'm gonna look it up though.
yeah. I understand, man. Cite whoever said I borrowed it from someone else. I just don't remember who. That's fine.
Yeah, man. No, I like that. That's good. That's really good.
I'm a quote guy, man. I appreciate, because quotes me, you can get the point across in a sentence or two just by a good quote.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, man. So let me ask you, what kind of future engagements do you foresee yourself with your campaign, with your book, with the Black Sanctuary, with doing presentations, anything? What enlighten us what you have for the future?
One of the things I'm working on right now is TED Talks. So I'm getting ready I'm putting together a TED Talk, and I plan to do a lot of those. And again, those talks, generally, initially are going to be a lot around this campaign and getting the awareness out. I want people to understand, exactly what this is and what I'm doing, that there is someone out here that's actually putting in this kind of work. And so TED Talks is one thing. There's, I just put out the Spanish. Well, I'm working on putting out the Spanish version of the book. So we already got the translation done.
Right.
So yes, and that was really cool. Shout out to Kenny Baja and Gabriela De Castro, some great interpreters that I worked with back in the courts, the U.S. courts, and so it was really cool to be able to, work with them again, and they're brilliant at what they do. And so, and the cool thing about the book, by the way, is it's not they didn't just translate it to Spanish. They were very, very, thoughtful about Mexican Spanish, Puerto Rican Spanish, Cuban Spanish, right? DR, everything. So they were very thoughtful about it and how they did that. And I wouldn't have thought of that, right? Yeah. That's what happens when you work with pros like that. And so, I have so the book. So now I just sent it to my illustrator, and she's, putting that into the book. And of course, we have your issues with that because Spanish sentences, my interpreter informed me of this. He said they're 30% longer, right? So that might change some of the, the font, maybe some of the images. Hopefully it doesn't change the images so much, the illustrations. So, so we're working on that. Continuing to, I have a couple other things that are kind of under wraps a little bit, but it's going to be very beneficial. It's really cool, some really cool stuff that we're doing for teenagers. And and I want, because the video series that I did on the Black Sanctuary YouTube channel, please go there and subscribe. We just we put that out, and so we have 10 videos there that are up. We're going to be doing the second part of that series coming up, but before we do that, I'm going to be doing a firearm series. Black Americans bought the most amount of firearms in 2020. And as a use of force instructor, I've been, in law enforcement and in the private sector. That's something I've done for a long time. And when I saw so many Black Americans that bought guns, I was like, well, that's great that we've kind of gotten by this stigma that, we can't own guns or we shouldn't own firearms. But nobody got training because it was 2020. Right? Yeah. And so we're putting out that series in between the educational series. So we're doing that. And then I have a couple other series coming out that's gonna be pretty awesome. We're going through it's gonna look like a case study between a lot of the use of force and deadly force incidents that have happened, and helping people understand exactly how these things played out and why, and what you could do differently in the future. And so we're already in the process of that. That's going to be awesome, I think, because I haven't seen that done, and it's going to be extremely informative to people. So I'm looking forward to doing that. So yeah, that's just some of the things we have going on, but there's a lot more. It doesn't feel like there's enough time, man.
I know.
It's like I want to do it all right now.
I know.
Yeah.
Once you have the thought, you see the completion. You just want it. I know, like right then. I get it.
There you go. Yeah. I know you do.
it's frustrating sometimes. You just want to like, a brand new thought. Let me get this one so I can move on to the next.
There you go. Yeah.
But you got good things going, and they're good ideas, and they're helpful, and it's up to date as well. I mean, you got YouTube series coming out on those kind of explanations. Those are important. I didn't know that in the African American community, it spiked in the purchases of firearms during 2020, and that's good. But again, like you said, it was 2020. We were all locked down, so whatever kind of training we got was either videos or whatever, or just self-taught. And so many owning a firearm is necessary and important, but you have to learn how to use it too.
Yes.
So many different times I've met people that did not know. They mispronounce some of the uses, some of the parts of the weapon. They say they take the clip out according to the magazine. And yes, and not knowing that once you remove the magazine, there still possibly could be one in the chamber. And they don't have trigger discipline or anything at keeping your finger off the. So that's a whole series in itself. But just how to properly use the firearm is important itself, just so you don't have an accidental discharge.
Right. Yeah, and I think part of the thing too was seeing that, and I wanted, and I know there's other great, professional law enforcement officers that are black, black folks that are out there. I didn't see a lot of black folks that were, that had videos out there, for instance, that are the caliber that I would want to do.
Right.
And that's the whole thing. And again, everything I do, first of all, is the Black Sanctuary. The things that I did that I focus on initially are to make Black Americans aware and to empower folks, again, to try to move away from some of the angst and the hate towards law enforcement and towards, and everything, but I want people, but at the end of the day, everything that I do is for everyone, right? Because, whether it's about the law, I'm trying to educate Black folks about the law, but at the same time, the law applies to everybody. When I talk about firearms, again, Black folks bought a lot of guns. I want them to understand how to use them. At the end of the day, everybody is going to be able to benefit from that, because everybody needs to understand, proper gun handling and safety,
right,
and that type of thing too, right? So I want folks to be safe, no matter what it is and no matter what I do.
Right, absolutely. Yep, and I appreciated everyone stand by, because Sergeant Be Safe has to get his 2-minute interlude, and we're jumping right back into it. So enjoy this cartoon.
Dispatch, put me out at 5th and Main. There's a car blocking the roadway. They may be broke down. I'm gonna go check on them.
10-4.
Oh, now that I have a closer look, I don't think they're broke down. Excuse me, sir. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I was just pulled over answering a text and looking something up on my maps.
Okay, but you're blocking the road, and we can't have that.
It's only for a second. Besides, cars can go around me.
It doesn't matter if it's for a second or for a lifetime. You can't block the roadway. That's not fair to other cars that have to go around you.
Oh, I didn't think it mattered. I guess you're right.
If you have to check your text messages or enter something into your maps while you're driving, pull all the way over to the side of the road, or better yet, find a parking lot and pull in there.
There's a parking lot right up there. I'll go up there to plug in the address.
Thank you, sir. I truly appreciate it.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Sergeant Be Safe.
You're welcome. And that way, we can keep the roadway clear to avoid potential accidents. And that's your tip of the day to get you on your way.
And shout out to Jay Moore, who's using his vocal skills more so in these certain Be Safe cartoons. If you're on here, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate there's a couple others that he's done as well that haven't been or completed yet. So I appreciate your tenacity on getting those talented voiceovers in.
That was a great interaction. I think that guy might have read the police in me, man. You know, that was such a professional and courteous interaction between those two.
I think so. You might have had influence on the driver. Yeah, man. So interactions like that, I got to be careful on how I say it. Not all, but I can almost gamble that most of the time, if they're polite, courteous, everyone can interact cordially. Mm-hmm. Not only does the traffic stop go efficiently and effectively and quickly, most times it's a positive outcome. Read between the lines on both parts. Not all the time, but I mean, as many times as it could be. But I can almost gamble that it's more so a positive outcome and a positive ending toward that situation.
You know, I mean, it's even when I go into a doctor's office, if you think about it, and you know, I learned this years ago that when I would go into and especially I think that I've had several orthopedic surgeries, right? And so I used to go into the doctor's office a lot, and they, you know, a lot of those folks, you know, the people come in when they're in pain, when they're sick, right? And so, and when they feel that way, they're taking it out on the person that they're interacting with, okay? And that is that, and they deal with that all day. So by the time I come in and I'm like, good afternoon. And they're like, oh, hi, can I help you? I'm like, yes, ma'am. You know, and I talk to them and then I'll ask them their name and then I remember their name and I talk to them, right? I mean, and you have a pleasant interaction. I realize that people, you know, are treating you terribly all day and it changes the interaction quickly. Now it's just like, hey, let's help this gentleman out. And it's not just, let me be clear. It's not just about, what I get from it. It's not about that. It's just about, again, it's just the courtesy of acknowledging that this person is being treated a certain way. But now when I would continue to go in, I would get totally different treatment when I would go in there. Right. You know, all the time, because they know how I'm going to talk to them, how I treat them, how I interact with them. And it goes a long way. All you have to do, again, it's a little bit of empathy and it's a little bit of courtesy. Right. And that's all it is. And so when I interact with cops, when I get pulled over, especially even in law enforcement, I never said who I was or what I was doing. I didn't flash my badge or anything like that. I didn't want to get in trouble. So, but at the same time, it was, but how I interacted with them, and if it came up, if they saw some gear in the car in the back seat, that's something different. Yeah, sure. But the interaction with them was always like, thanks, man. You know, hey, I appreciate you being so polite. I appreciate you being so cooperative, right? I mean, and I've heard that a lot. Right, just because of that's how I'm always going to deal with you. Me making the situation worse is not going to help anybody, right? You're frustrated and everything else, right? And I think people have such a high expectation of police officers that you're not allowed to have a bad day. Like, anything could be happening, and that's what I try to explain to people. Even when I talk to kids, they might have had a pet that died, right? They might have had a sick parent, or their car might have broken down, on the way to work, or there could be, maybe their best friend is hurt or injured, or maybe sick in the hospital or something, and even when I explain that to kids, I try to make sure that they understand, like, these are people that are dealing with the same problems as everyone else, but they have a very complex job where they have to deal with everybody else's problems. And so and kids got that. They're like, oh, okay. And so even when I talk to adults, that have their own problems, and now they're getting stopped by police, and that's like the last thing that they want to deal with. It's still all about how we deal with each other. And I think the more courteous that we can be, and just that mutual understanding, like, hey, I get where you're coming from. You have a tough job, and I don't want you to be. I didn't want to get stopped. I don't want a ticket, But all right, But like if you ask me and say, "Hey, man, you were speeding," I'll probably be like, "Yeah, I was." Like, and even then, like sometimes they'll laugh. I'm like, "Well, at least you're honest." I'm like, "Yeah, man, I was moving, man." But anyway, but it just depends on how we go about it, and I think that's an important thing.
Absolutely. Good answer. Good answer. We'll kind of switch things up a little bit and kind of ask you on your book again. Get the reference out there, which I got mine on Amazon, ladies and gentlemen. But there's multiple ways that you can get a copy for yourself.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any place books are sold online, you can find the book.
Gotcha. Got to get that plug out there, definitely. But let me ask you this. With your book, after interactions with your book, whether it's from law enforcement or whether it's from kids or parents, after they read this book, and do you think it can help with anyone who's got their toe dipped in the water halfway in, halfway out on a decision on maybe, I want to get into a career. Maybe I want to answer the call and get into law enforcement or become a first responder. I'm kind of wavering in and out. Do you think that this can help push them into it if that's a decision that's kind of up in the air for them?
You mean for the adults? Probably not. I think for adults, people that are older have their feelings about police already, and it's hard to change that.
Right.
As you see right now with so many agencies across the country, there's so many of these agencies that are putting out, they got incentives of like, I don't know, $30,000 worth of incentives to get you to be a police officer, and people are like, nope, not doing it. And it's I don't think that happens, but I think that's the worst place to start recruiting, is to start recruiting adults. If you want to recruit, you start recruiting children. Right. And you start at a very young age. And that, again, if you want to look at it from a long-term perspective, look, if you're an officer and you're out there reading this book and you're interacting with kids, that could change their entire perspective of who the police are. And now they're going to learn more about what they do. They get to touch your vest. They get to see inside of your car or whatever it might be, when we hold these events. They get a chance to see something. This might be a future law enforcement officer, whether they're a municipal police officer, whether they're a federal agent, right? You never know. But if you want that, so it might not be immediate. You might not see the return quickly, but in the long term, yes, that's what I'm talking about. The book is an investment. All right, it's an investment into keeping your citizens safe, your police officers being able to go home to their family. And at the same time, you have an opportunity to possibly recruit young folks because now they get a chance to learn more. I had one young man ask me a bunch of questions, and he was very interested. And he had already made his mind. He was 9 years old. He said he was going to be an FBI agent. And I'm like, I love it, right? And he was so he's already done his research, because he was pretty informed about, so other kids had some questions, and he would start to answer, and he would look at me and I would say, no, go ahead. And like, I wanted to see what he was going to say. And I was like, great job. If you want to recruit, that's where you start. So I think, the book could be used as I think that, look, and I know I wrote the book, and I'm not just out here, trying to pump it just for sales. That's not what I'm doing. This is something I utterly care. I care deeply about. Right. And I want people to understand, like, this is a great tool to be able to utilize in multiple ways. And so I'm hoping that that's one of the things that police departments will see, that this is a long-term investment, and this isn't a one-time campaign either. When I say the campaign, this isn't just every police department, making one big purchase. It's, I'm going to come back in another year or two, and we're going to do this again and again and again, right? Because this is something that needs to be ingrained in our country, the mindset of these types of relationships that we need to build. That's gonna increase, that's gonna improve. But at the same time, when we talk about how people feel about law enforcement, even as a career, these young kids, that's gonna change too. And so I think it could be a great tool for that as well. Absolutely.
I believe it. I believe that. Good answer. I'm going to ask another inquisitive question, the part B or part two of that question, the original question. So throughout the nation, possibly throughout the world, you got individuals that are quiet quitting, that are walking away from jobs, that are fed up, that are doing exactly what they need to do just to skate through. And same with law enforcement. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired. They're fed up with whether in-house problems, outhouse problems, whatever it may be. It's just one big encompassing burnout. How can your book be used to a seasoned officer that is kind of at close to the finish line, but not all the way there, to reinvigorate them, as in community service or community policing? How can your book be utilized to help to reinvigorate that officer and engage with individuals themselves or the public?
I think that's a great question, and I would hope that officers that are that seasoned are going to use their knowledge and use their experience. They might be burned out, but it's really hard to not smile when you're around kids, man. When you're around kids and you're reading the book to them, and sometimes I would kind of give them cues, like I'll ask them questions as I'm reading, and to hear their response, and sometimes they respond in unison, right? Like, I can't tell you how it's probably like how Jay-Z and Beyonce feel at a concert. People sing along with their songs, right? Like, it's like you're up there in front and with these kids, and like I remember, and this is something I would love for one of those officers to experience. They have so much knowledge that they could share, and they have stories for days. They've seen these types of things, and they could probably relate to so many people and so many kids that have these questions. And I remember when it was actually the question when I said the little girl, she was inquiring about what do police mean when they say someone fits the description. And I had a bunch of young boys that happened to be all in blue, sitting next to each other. Like, this is just God that's just putting this in front of me. Like, because when she asked the question, I was like, how do I answer this? And I'm like, that's a great question. And so she but I look up and I'm looking at this. There's like 200 kids in this room, and I look and I see these 3 boys all in blue sitting right next to each other. And I'm like, oh, can I have you 3 gentlemen stand up? And I tell them, and I say, okay, so fits the description. So let's just say the police are looking for one of these young men, right? And so they're all wearing blue, all right? So they're all wearing blue, and they're all just about the same height. One had a blue T-shirt, one had a blue hoodie, one had a blue jacket. And so I say, the police say, we're looking for someone wearing blue. And I said, is that a good description? And I didn't expect the answer, but one of the kids yelled, all the kids yelled, and they said, I was like, is that a good description? They were like, no. And I'm like, whoa, right? Like, I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And I was like, all right, well, he has a blue T-shirt on. I said, well, they said that they're looking for someone with long sleeves. Who doesn't fit that description? They were like, him. So the kid with the T-shirt was out. And I said, well, they said the one that the kid had, there was someone that had a blue top, but it had buttons on it. Who does that take out? And they took out they were like, him, the kid with the hoodie. And I was like, all right, now just because this kid has got a blue jacket and it's got buttons on it, does it mean that he's the one that fits the description? No. And I'm like, wow, like, I'm trying to tell you, like, like, I can't make this up, bro.
Right.
And I'm sitting here and I'm like, this is amazing. And they got it, they understood it, and just the blessing of being able to, articulate it, seeing that there were 3 boys next to each other. Oh man. You can't tell me that a seasoned officer, I don't care if you've been on for 20, 25, 30 years, and you're in that type of situation, that you don't feel good. So if you're one of those officers that are listening to this, and you're like, and you're on that quiet quitting, you're kind of not wanting to do much, pick this book up and go read it to some kids and see how you feel. Like that's an awesome feeling. Just some of the interactions, I could go on for days about some of these things, but these kids are amazing. And so I would want those types of officers to have that kind of experience, right? Like even if you still don't like being out in the street, but maybe that this is something that keeps you engaged in your community to share your knowledge and your experience.
Right. Nice. That's got to be a good experience. I know. Dealing with, I've been a coach for midget league football. I've been an SRO earlier in my career, and just interacting with kids. Period. It's a lot of fun because you get the pureness, you get the raw, you get the innocence, and there, like you said, like you experienced, you get to experience the genuineness. I mean, nothing better than having a real unbiased question or just the pure excitement, and you're right in the middle of it, and excitement builds more excitement. So you can't just sit there stone faced, like you just can't. If you can, I mean, that's practiced if you can, because I can't. The excitement overwhelms you, and you find joy in it too.
Brother, I it's one of the things that I've experienced when I would, this happened at a few schools when I would get ready to leave. And kids would just run up and hug me. The very first school that I read at, I read the book. A bunch of kids I read the book to. I was meeting some other teachers in the school, and while I was standing there talking to them, I didn't like the kids just blindsided me. Like they came to me and wrapped their arms around me and walked away. And I'm like, what was that? It was the first time, right? So I'm like, what was that? And then it happened again. And then I'm walking and they ran up and happened and they hugged me again. I'm like, this is amazing, right? But the other thing is too, let's also remember the fact that some of these kids come from single parent homes where there's no fathers, right? And so the interaction with me being there, taking time to speak to them, talk to them, educate them, and then some of these kids would hug me and wouldn't let me go, and what do? You gonna push them off? No, you sit there, right? Yeah. And you hug that kid. Yeah. That's what you do, right? And so I'm trying to tell you, like, if you're an officer that's on the verge of like, man, I'm tired of this, I'm burnt out, you go take this book and read it to some kids and see how many lives you change, and see and hopefully they change, have a change of perspective about law enforcement, and that could be all you're doing, and that could be something that you do, and because you did that, you're probably saving a life.
Yeah, and not even.
You are saving a life. I mean, you gotta. It's a powerful thing, man. That's why I love this work, brother. I mean, I love doing this because this is what happens when you do this, right? Like you get the kids that want to engage, and they want to hug you, and they want some love back, right? Like that it's just a good feeling. The questions that you get and all of that, like you can't be a hard rock around these type of kids, man, when they're looking at that, and that's the power in this, and that's what I would hope for people, somebody said something to me earlier today. No, it was yesterday. I had an interview yesterday, and they said, they were asking about my goal, what my goals were, in particular to the ambassador campaign with the book, and one of the things is, and just as I'm sitting here thinking about what you're talking about, some of these officers. I don't really have a goal, Clee. Like I did have a goal at first, but in regards to this mission, it's not a goal that I really have anymore. At first, it was about helping people stay safe when they interact with police. That's what it was, right? But it's evolved, and it's not a goal anymore, man. It's a drive.
Yeah.
Right. It's a drive, man. Like, and you realize that this is a calling, okay? And you feel that, and you want to share that with people. Like a goal to me is something short. It's like, this is my path. That's the finish line, and this is what I need to do, right? It's like a stepping stone. This is beyond that. This is down to my core. This is my calling. This feels like it's God-given, right? And so that's the whole thing. I hope people feel, they have these types of experiences when they read the book to kids and they do that type of thing. Because, and even in my own experience, look, I'm Black officer, black man that was in law enforcement, worked with multiple agencies for and with multiple agencies, use of force instructor. But on the other end of that, being pulled over dozens of times and stop and frisk. When I was 16, they pulled me over, ripped me out of my car, tossed my car without my permission, searched without my permission. I knew that was wrong, right? But at the same time, it's then my cousin being killed and by police and all of these things. I get where some people can look at this and say, I can't believe that you still want to work with police. I'm like, yeah, I've already been in law enforcement. It's late. It's late for that, right? But at the same time, this is bigger than a goal, man. This is a drive, because like I look at it and it's really easy to say, woe is me, I've been a victim, right? It's not about that, man. Like, you got to be able to look at these situations and take these experiences and these trials and tribulations that you might deal with this, and you got to sit with it. You don't quit, right?
Yeah.
And you gotta dig in, and then when you dig in, what you might end up finding, man, is you end up finding God's gift, right?
Interesting.
You find something that you've been given out of all of the things that I've been through.
Yeah.
You start, it's easy to say, I could have felt some way about law enforcement and we would never be having this conversation. But I've taken this and I'm using this as a gift to be able to, and when you have that gift, you don't shun that. You don't push that aside, right?
Yeah.
You use this and you help mankind. You help your fellow man. You do this for your city or your state. And for me, it's not even about that. We're doing this countrywide. We're doing this east to west, north to south. I don't care, black, white, or other, what's your religious background or ethnicity, anything. We are talking about helping human beings interact with one another, law enforcement, civilians. We can do this in a way that it hasn't been done. We can show each other kindness. We can be respectful. We can show each other courtesy. We can be polite. We can do that. All right. And that's where this comes from. It's not a goal, it's a drive. And this drive it's not a goal, man. It's going to be transformative. That's what it's going to be. And I'm hoping that these officers that feel a certain way, and they might feel a certain way after these last couple of years, where there's been a lot of hate towards police, a lot of hate, especially in 2020. And, during the protests and being called out, being called all kinds of names, and
trust me, I know.
At them, and and that's what I'm saying is that, but not everybody has your resolve, Clee, right? Like, not everybody's as resilient as you, and you're doing far more. Like, written 5 books, brother. Like, you're over here have a podcast. Like, this is how you share with your fellow man. I hope these officers can find a different way to find an outlet, because if they don't, that's where that stress starts to build.
Yeah.
Right. And then it blows up, and then you act out, and then you're on CNN or Fox somewhere, looking crazy. Right. And so I'm hoping that that this is something that does help, someone find maybe a second career. I didn't even think about that until now. Maybe you find a second career. Maybe this inspires an officer to write a different type of book. I don't know. But I do know that there's an opportunity here to do something bigger. You and I have talked about meditation in the past, right? And, I tell you, in the morning, man, after I wake up and I meditate, by the time I'm done, brother, I am ready to impose my will on this mission. Like, I'm telling you, like, I am ready to impose my will. And I know it sounds aggressive, but that's just how my mind works, folks. But by the time I encounter that,
I understand.
You go after it, and whoever I interact with, like, you're with me, or I'm gonna have to go around. You're gonna have to step aside, but you're still gonna have to support me, okay? Because look, we're not gonna do this you're with me or against me thing, because that's too divisive. We've already done that, and that's how we got here in the first place. All right, we can do something better, and I'm hoping that I meet officers as I go through this campaign and as I do this nationally, that, I meet these officers that feel burnt out, that feel some kind of way, after these last couple of years. And hopefully I can invigorate them to do something more. And if for nobody else, do it for the future of our country. Do it for the kids.
Man. You done hit us with a whole bunch of pearls and gems, man. I'm telling you,
you got me going for a second, brother.
I know. Every time you do this, it makes my mind wonder, and I'm going off on different caveats in a good way. Like, I can do more. I can need to get. What you were saying, it reminded me of a story that Steve Jobs put out in a podcast or a video that I watched years ago, where he had so many good, bad, negative, positive events happen and couldn't figure out why. And each one was a certain piece. And he'd get this piece, and then he had this piece, and then he get this piece, and he had this piece, good, bad, and different, or whatever. And so he had a whole bunch of pieces that was just a bunch of what appeared to the naked eye was junk. And you're like, why do I have to go through this? Oh, that was fun. I wish I could do this, but whatever's good doesn't last forever. So many different things. And all of a sudden he figured out that each of them were pieces to a puzzle. And once he recognized that it was a piece to a puzzle, this goes here, and then that piece goes there. And each experience, good, bad, and different, was a piece to that puzzle. And once he got the puzzle, gave him the answer. Once he had the answer, gave him the drive.
There you go. You've explained exactly how I got to this point of feeling this way. Thank you for that. Yeah, because that's exactly what it is. Because I think a lot of times we, especially in law enforcement, like you're dealing with so many different things, like so many complex things all the time, right? Different people, different situations. It might be, mental health situation one day. It might be, a homicide the next, right? Yep. You never know, right? And then you're having to manage all of these things, but you lose yourself in that process. And I think, it's really important to understand how do I put these things together that it makes sense to me and that I can still be of service, right? Like it's really easy just to get hardened by these things, right? Uh-huh. And to get lost in it. And that's what I would it'd be very sad for people that have had this level of exposure to humanity, to different forms, to different parts of humanity. Some people never see.
Yeah.
And now you see that. I think it should make us better servants, because that's what we are, right? We are servants, and we're here to provide. We're here to provide a service, but we're giving ourselves. And I think that's what I'm trying to do here, is make sure that, my brother-in-law passed away a couple of months ago. And to be honest, that's when this started. It was me at his funeral, standing in front of the church. I had no plans to talk, but I was standing up there and I was talking about him, and I was talking about his casket was off to the right of me. And I'm talking about impact, and I'm talking about living a good life, because he lived a good life. He was a good man. And he wasn't somebody that was chasing titles or money or anything like that. He was just a good dude. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to tell him that throughout his life. And he's one of the people that I had told that to, because he was always a good man. And I thought about all the people that said nice things about him that day. But as I was talking to the church, I was realizing that I was projecting. Yeah. I was like, oh, I need to do more. Right? Like this isn't it. Like, no, you need to step your game up. And that's that's actually was the inception, was me standing at my brother-in-law's funeral, was me standing there saying, I need to do more. Because one thing that man always told me was, I'm proud of you, little brother. I'm proud of you, man. And that's also my gift to him, my dedication to him. He gave me that inspiration that day. And I went back, that night I started thinking like we need to do more. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, look, man, we don't know how much time we have. Right? Yeah. We don't know this, right? We ain't getting out of here alive. I know that. Yep. And so, in the meantime, what are we going to do with that? And, people like you, people like me that have been blessed with, gifts, and we're creative, and we have an opportunity. We have gifts, we're creative, and we've also had these types of careers in which we can express ourselves and help people in different ways. Mm-hmm. We have to do that, but let's move beyond looking at the thing that's right in front of us. like I said, it was at first looking at, oh, what can I do in this city or in this community or over here? No. Give me my country. Give me the United States. I want the entire country. I know I can handle that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm going to impose my will on this. So it's already done, you know, and I got people like you, you know, we have great supporters, you know, cool thing. Even being on LinkedIn, I've met judges and attorneys and cops internationally. You know, I've met, you know, people in the corporate sector and just moms and dads, different organizations. I met a sister from the Alaska Black Caucus yesterday.
Okay.
Right? It was awesome, right? Like, you know, that, you know, people reaching out like, hey, what can we do? I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And this is where I think we're good. We're great as human beings. You know, we can, when we give of ourselves that way. And, but yeah, man, you got me going on. I didn't mean to start preaching at you, but you know, this is where I think where we can, this is where we start making change, man. You know, this is that opportunity. And like I said, every day I look for that opportunity to do it. And when I don't, and when I'm not like active, like I'm like, I need to be doing something right now. Like, I need to be like, you know, and it's cool. Like it's great to take time to relax and chill and all that. That's cool. But I find my, I am fed by the experience of helping others and giving. Like that's how I enjoy myself, man. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this campaign. It's, you know, and like you said, I might, you know, I'm pretty sure I'm going to face some obstacles at the beginning and maybe halfway through, you know, whatever, who cares? I don't care. It's at the end of the day, we're going to be helping a lot of people. And the idea of the fact, I'm sorry, I just got to say this too. This is something that just hit me. The idea that we are going to end up by saving lives, you change the future, right? And you change individual futures. Okay, so that's a family that doesn't deal with the torment and the angst of losing someone that was killed by police,
right?
Or the family of a police officer that loses someone in the line of duty.
Yeah,
all because we're sharing the information of how we should interact with each other.
Yeah, spawned from a book. Yes,
you know what I mean. Like, and you know, bro, we can do some amazing things here, and that's, you know, and that just hit me. Like, we can literally change the future by saving lives, and even individual lives. Like, we can do that, and you know, and like I said, I'm really looking forward to the people, you know, to people joining me on this, and you know, the more and more people that are on this journey with me. You know, I have friends from high school that have hit me up that I haven't seen, and I'm dating myself now too, like almost 30 years, you know. You know, it's and just people I haven't seen that have been incredibly supportive. You know, I went to an HBCU, and to have, you know, at Norfolk State University in Virginia, you know, behold the green and gold, go Spartans. You know, people that, you know, that I haven't seen since I left the school that have been like, hey man, what can we do? You know, and then, you know, people like you that I've never even met in person that are like, I got you, man. You know, that's how I know we're going to be successful here. I know it.
I believe that. I know, like I said, like we talked offline so many times, either through text or just regular phone conversations. And I remember you telling me the story on your brother-in-law and how it you said as you were speaking, you were projecting, and you discovered you were talking to yourself. And as you're talking to yourself through yourself, you discovered that. I was like, yes, as like you said, stealing your own words, the inception happened for the campaign as if you already had it here, which at that point in time was high enough and that was adequate enough. And then after conducting that speech or speaking through yourself, it got here, and you realize it needs to grow. It's that much more bigger. I understand. I haven't done enough work. I need to keep going. Like I told you backstage, I had a busy day today with training. Had a short turnaround and to do this podcast, which I'm excited about. I mean, we always have a great interaction no matter what. And I'm like, the remainder of the day, I'm just going to relax and chill. And then realizing I'm probably not. I'm really not. That's my goal.
I knew you were gonna say that. Yep.
Something else. There's I got this. I'm working on so many different things. I'm like, I got time right now. I can at least move the line that's here, move it to here, at least for right now. Keep it moving. I get it.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, and you feel right, like it's good to take a break, good to get take a vacation every now and then. I get it, but when you are driven by helping people, when you're driven by that, it's like that's you are taking. It's good to step away from stuff to clear your head, but you're creating a life that you don't feel like you need to leave, right? That you don't need a vacation from, because, and that's how this feels is every time when somebody pops up or you see somebody, like I see somebody with a book or I see someone has a positive experience, just like, and I know you have to love it when people react to Sergeant Be Safe, right? Because it's like every time I see it, like I can't help but smile, right? It's just one of those things where it's just like, it makes you feel good. It's funny, it's informative, and that's what I'm saying. Like you get a chance to be creative in these types of situations. And so, and I think we're blessed that way. I mean, not everybody has found that, that thing for themselves, but yeah, when you do, you don't want to put that down. You don't want to waste it. Keep giving. Right.
Les Brown, one of my favorite motivational speakers, one of his speeches said, "You can either die with dreams or die with accomplishments." And he said he doesn't want to be on his deathbed and having the ghost of all his dreams surrounded by him, looking at him with dark, scary eyes, saying, "We came to you to give us life, and now we have to die with you forever." I'm like, wow, that's powerful in itself, man. You get those ideas, you're like, there's a way to leave a lasting impression on the world right there.
Yeah, that's gonna have me shook now. I love that.
Yeah, I wish I could steal that too. That's Les Brown, one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, everybody's got to love Les Brown.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's exactly one of those things too, where I hope that I continue to find different ways to continue to serve, right? Because it's something that I think you're ingrained in. You get a chance to be creative, but it's also kind of ingrained in who you are. So I know it's in my wiring, it's in my programming, man. That's something that I've always enjoyed doing one way or another. But the idea of not doing enough and then departing this earth, or our physical bodies anyway, that's not something I don't think I've ever been comfortable with it, but I became more aware of it recently. Let's put it that way. Like it became far more real, a lot more real at that point. So yeah, I did that.
Yep. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to pause for the calls with Sergeant Be Safe, and we're going to come right back up with one final question. All right, stand by.
What up, Jackson? Let's get these bikes and join up with the crew.
All right, I want to try some stunts.
Cool. I got the camera. I'll record you as you zig and zag through traffic.
Okay, I'm ready to go whenever you are.
Hey fellas, I hope you don't plan on riding those dirt bikes on the street. That's illegal activity. You guys don't have the proper gear to ride. The bikes also need inspected, insurance, and registration.
Oh, I didn't know we needed all that.
You guys don't have a driver's license either. Sorry, fellas.
Everyone else does it.
Bad decision.
So, is there a place where we can go ride them legally?
That's a great question. Yes, there are. In some states, there's designated areas like tracks or dirt roads where you can ride them. Riding them on the public road is not acceptable, especially when there's careless disregard for other people and traffic and property. You can get hurt or you can injure someone else just for being a thrill seeker. Not only that, it's illegal and you could face a ton of fines.
Thanks for letting us know. We weren't trying to get in any trouble.
I'm just glad we were able to help before things got bad.
Remember, fellas, this summer's going to be hot, so let's make it an enjoyable one. And let's not get in any trouble thrill-seeking while riding these dirt bikes and quad runners. Captain Chaos and I are here to help, and that's your tip of the day. Get you on your way.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you guys for sticking around in Black and Blue. Got one final question I'm going to ask. Got Derrick Dotson right here on the stage. Had a wonderful interview. We talked about a lot of wonderful things. Talked about his campaign. Talked about the Black Sanctuary. You see it scrolling. There we go. Talked about his book, The Police and Me, as we did last time. It's his second time on the show, and I can almost guarantee you it won't be his last. Absolutely. But in the course of conversation, I may have forgot to ask a question, or I may have jogged your memory on something that you wanted to say and didn't have the opportunity to. Is there anything else that you would like to put out on the floor? Right now, the floor is yours.
No, thanks for that, Cleet. No, I think, at this point, I really hope that I can get as many people to join this ambassadors, the national ambassador campaign for the police and me. This is something that I know is going to help a lot of people. This is something that this hasn't been done before. This type of book hasn't been written, and we're going to take this on. This is something that we have to make sure that we take on long before we have another national event that we're all going to respond to. And it's going to be an emotional response, right? It's going to be something that that people are going to feel certain types of ways about, based on what they think law enforcement is, or what they should do, and how they should interact with the public. This is what this is about. This is about having this mutual understanding, this empathy, this idea of being able to come together and have these conversations in a way that we can actually learn from one another. But let's use this example and start with our children. And that's what I'm hoping for here, is that we start with our children, and so that way when they become tweens and teens and they're roaming your parks and malls, they know how to interact with police. And when they get their license, they know how to interact with police. And when they become tax-paying citizens in your city, in your community, they know how to interact with police. This is an investment that we're making in our children and in our future. So let's continue to do that, and I hope you'll continue to support me. You can support me at the Black Sanctuary, theblacksanctuary.com. I'm on social media everywhere at the Black Sank, on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I look forward to your help. If you want to know how to help, buy a book for your school district, buy some books for your school district, buy them for a local library, donate some books to a police department, and tell them to get out there and start reading to some kids. So let's do that, and I look forward to your support. We're going to be doing this for a long time, and I know you're going to be with me. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. There you remember where you guys heard it first. Make sure you guys get out there and support. Either like Martin Luther King said, you're either part of the problem or part of the solution. Be part of the solution. It's very easy. Purchase a book, get out there, interact with the community on either side of whatever this is on Black and Blue. Either side of the community, either side of law enforcement. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. Make sure you guys check the website out, the Black Sanctuary. Get your copy of the book wherever books are sold, like you already heard. I got mine from Amazon. Make sure you guys get yours too, and be an answer and not a problem. All right. I'm Coach, your motivational speaker, your empowerment coach, your author, and your favorite baker's favorite baker. Make sure if you're looking to find a spot on this show, workwithclee.com. It's in the comment section. Get at me. If you're looking to purchase one of these 5 books that I think are tremendously great, get at me. That can be handled on the website or Amazon as well. If you are looking to support the show, let me know, because we're going to continue moving this thing forward because it's important. This show airs weekly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we have a guest on the show that's first responder or law enforcement, and we come on here and we discuss their trainings, their publications, or their experiences. So if you're looking to get in this platform, this atmosphere, this is your place. If you're already in this atmosphere and you're looking to see how other individuals do it, this is your place as well. If you're not in this atmosphere, if you're not law enforcement, if you're just looking to see how we humanize the badge and we talk to individuals who are here, this is your place. So make sure you guys, I got former guest on the show, Maurice Hicks. Good job. Thank you very much. Make sure you guys check his book out as well. Former guest, he was just on last week. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we got a special guest that's coming on next week. I want to tell you who they are, but I'm not going to, because I want you guys to stay tuned, and they're coming through with some more power and influence, and we're going to have a good time doing it. Coach Clee, your motivational speaker, your empowerment coach, your author, your favorite baker saying 10-4, over and out.
This is a good drink. I like this place.
I like it too. Mario, let me get another one.
Well, jeez Louise, you guys each had enough.
Hey guys, don't you guys look nice?
Now your fools want to show off. She's talking to me.
No, dummy. She's talking to me.
You want to see me outside?
I see you now.
They're fighting over me.
Hey, you guys need to break it up. You're wrecking my place. Hey, Sergeant Better Safer, I need your head now.
Welp, I got a few pics of them. I'm out.
You foes knocked each other out. Megan, don't you live?
Like Popeye when it's time.
Looks like we're right on time again. I don't understand why you guys are fighting. I just saw Megan leaving. Was it for that?
It's because she liked my profile picture.
We're connected. Insta-talk.
Sounds like she played both of you. Isn't that right, Kraken? Sergeant, to be safe. Captain Chaos, you guys saved the day again. You guys are the true heroes. Thank you, Mario. We appreciate it. Once again, these two are going back to jail. Part of their punishment is they're going to have to pay for all of these damages. And that's your tip of the day to get you on your way.